Good morning. My name is Nathan Hochman. I'm the District Attorney of Los Angeles County. With me up here is Los Angeles Police Department Chief Jim McDonald. Also at this podium on the DA's side are the Assistant District Attorney Maria Ramirez, who oversees our special operations. We have John McKinney, who is our Director of Specialized Prosecutions. The Assistant Head Deputy District Attorney is Habib Balian of the Major Crimes Division. Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman of the Major Crimes Division will be the lead prosecutor on this case. From the Los Angeles Police Department, we also have Captain Scott Williams, who's the commanding officer of LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division, the Chief of Detectives, Alan Hamilton, the Director of Specialized Prosecutions, Mike Rimkunis, and the LAPD detectives on this case, Josh Byers and Corey Farrell. Today, I am announcing the charges against David Anthony Burke, the musician known as David, spelled D4VD, in connection with the brutal and horrific murder of Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time. These charges include the most serious charges that a DA's office can bring. That is first-degree murder with special circumstances. The special circumstances being lying in wait, committing this crime for financial gain, or murdering a witness in an investigation. These special circumstances carry with it, along with the first-degree murder charge, a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. The determination on whether or not the District Attorney's Office will seek the death penalty will be made at a later time. Before I get into the actual charges, and there are additional charges against Mr. Burke, including continuous sexual acts, lewd and lascivious sexual acts with an individual under 14 years old, and mutilating a human remains of a body. Before I get into the description of these charges and their seriousness, I want to look at this as a parent. I am a parent of 3 children, and a parent's nightmare is a situation where your daughter goes out one night and never comes back. As we will show in a court of law, and what I also want to make sure about that the understanding of these charges is clear, is my description of these charges is not evidence that we are going to present in court. These charges, in fact, will not be evidence in the court. Evidence will be the witness testimony, the documents, and different types of admissible testimony that we will admit into court in the prosecution, and if it leads to the eventual trial of Mr. Burke, to convince a jury of 12 people beyond a reasonable doubt that each and every one of these charges is true, as well as the special allegations and circumstances that have been alleged. Now, back to this being a parent's nightmare. On April 23rd, 2025, as been alleged by the complaint, Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time, went to Mr. Burke's house in the Hollywood Hills. She was never heard from again. On September 8th, 2025, as alleged in the complaint, Miss Celeste remains, her dismembered and decomposed remains were found in 2 bags inside of a front trunk of a car registered to Mr. Burke. Thereafter began an investigation. The investigation was to determine who killed, who murdered Celeste months and months before. That investigation was carried out in unison and in partnership between the LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division and the District Attorney's Office. At every point in the investigation, through the arrest and the filing of charges, the LAPD and the District Attorney's Office have worked in lockstep. There's been no disagreements amongst these entities in deciding how to proceed with this case, ultimately leading to these charges today. So what you have as well with these charges is that, again, there are 3 sets of charges that have been brought. the first-degree murder with special circumstances. And again, those special circumstances are lying in wait. That Celeste went to Mr. Burke's home on the night of April 23rd, 2025, as alleged in the complaint, at his invitation, and again, was not heard from again. The second is a special circumstance being that this murder was committed for financial gain. As the evidence will show in court, the financial gain was for Mr. Burke to maintain his very lucrative musical career that Celeste was threatening on that particular night. The third charge, in addition to lying in wait and for financial gain, is murdering a witness to an investigation. In this particular case, as the evidence will come out in court, the witness to the investigation was Celeste. And the investigation was into the lewd and lascivious sexual acts committed by Mr. Burke that is the subject of count 2 of this complaint with Celeste while she was under 14 years old. I had the chance to meet with some of the family members of Celeste, and their grief is incalculable as to what happened to their daughter. What they have demanded, what we have assured them that the district attorney's office working with LAPD would give them is the proof beyond a reasonable doubt on who killed their daughter, on how their daughter was killed, when their daughter was killed, and bring that killer to justice. That killer that we have now charged is David Anthony Burke.
Singer David has been officially charged in the death of the 14-year-old girl whose body was reportedly dismembered in his car all the way back in September. Los Angeles District Attorney Nathan Hochman is going to join me live in just a little bit. I have a ton of questions. Also tonight, House Oversight Committee has launched a probe into the deaths or disappearances of nearly a dozen scientists who have worked in U.S. nuclear or rocket technology. This is something that Oversight Chairman James Comer called a potential, quote, grave threat to U.S. national security if the reports are accurate. This is a major escalation. And then later, the U.S. government launched its tariff refund portal today following the Supreme Court's February ruling that President Trump was not authorized to impose those tariffs. Singer David has been officially charged in the death of the 14-year-old. Singer David has been officially charged in the death of the 14-year-old girl whose body was reportedly dismembered in.
Following some breaking news, the singer accused of killing that 14-year-old girl is expected to be charged today and appear in court.
Yeah. It's a story a lot of people are watching. Any minute, the DA will release new information about the case against David Burke, whose stage name is David. Let's go to CBS LA. Rick Montanez live in downtown LA. Rick, what are we expecting to learn? Because there's a lot of questions right now.
Yeah, Chris, Amy, so we just noticed that they posted booking information here as they get ready for this news conference that says charges 187 for murder. They posted the booking photo as well of David Burke, the suspect in this case. We're waiting for the district attorney, Nathan Hochman, to come into the room, as well as the chief of police, Jim McDonnell, here with LAPD. So that should happen any moment now. We want to show you the moment that LAPD officers first arrested David Burke. Again, he goes by the stage name of David. This is video obtained by the California Post. It happened last Thursday in the Hollywood Hills. The 21-year-old singer-songwriter arrested after LAPD broke down a door, according to neighbors. Let's show you now the victim in the case, Celeste Rivas. She was reported missing when she was 13 years old. That was in early 2024. David was first confirmed as a target of a grand jury investigation back in February in connection with her murder. So Rivas's remains, we know, had been discovered in the trunk of that Tesla, the front trunk. The Tesla registered to David, and that Tesla was found at a Hollywood tow yard last September. That was nearly a year and a half after her family reported her missing. Court filings say that her body was dismembered and bagged up in parts. Rivas is from Lake Elsinore, and neighbors tell us that she had begun dating David when he was 19, she was 13. Again, at this point, we are inside the district attorney's office here at the Hall of Justice, where we're waiting for DA Nathan Hochman to come in, as well as LAPD Chief Jim McDonald, where we hope to hear more about the charges filed against David. And I believe this is about to get started here soon. So let's go over to that right now.
Los Angeles County District. And the Chief of Police, Jim McDonald, coming up, and they will be speaking to you. I will ask you when we get to any questions. There's only going to be time for just a few brief questions, so this isn't going to be a long Q&A afterwards. I'm going to ask you if you could do one at a time as much as possible so that we can hear the question, process it, and answer it appropriately. District Attorney Nathan Hochman.
Good morning. My name is Nathan Hochman. I'm the District Attorney of Los Angeles County. With me up here is Los Angeles Police Department Chief Jim McDonald. Also at this podium on the DA's side are the Assistant District Attorney Maria Ramirez, who oversees our special operations. We have John McKinney, who is our Director of Specialized Prosecutions. The Assistant Head Deputy District Attorney is Habib Balian of the Major Crimes Division. Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman of the Major Crimes Division will be the lead prosecutor on this case. From the Los Angeles Police Department, we also have Captain Scott Williams, who's the commanding officer of LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division, the Chief of Detectives, Alan Hamilton, the Director of Specialized Prosecutions, Mike Rimkunis, and the LAPD detectives on this case, Josh Byers and Corey Farrell. Today, I am announcing the charges against David Anthony Burke, the musician known as David, spelled D4VD, in connection with the brutal and horrific murder of Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time. These charges include the most serious charges that a DA's office can bring. That is first-degree murder with special circumstances. The special circumstances being lying in wait, committing this crime for financial gain, or murdering a witness in an investigation. These special circumstances carry with it, along with the first-degree murder charge, a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. The determination on whether or not the district attorney's office will seek the death penalty will be made at a later time. Before I get into the actual charges, and there are additional charges against Mr. Burke, including continuous sexual acts, lewd and lascivious sexual acts with an individual under 14 years old, and mutilating a human remains of a body. Before I get into the description of these charges and their seriousness, I want to look at this as a parent. I am a parent of 3 children, and a parent's nightmare is a situation where your daughter goes out one night and never comes back. As we will show in a court of law, and what I also want to make sure about that the understanding of these charges is clear, is my description of these charges is not evidence that we are going to present in court. These charges, in fact, will not be evidence in the court. Evidence will be the witness testimony, the documents, and different types of admissible testimony that we will admit into court in the prosecution, and if it leads to the eventual trial of Mr. Burke, to convince a jury of 12 people beyond a reasonable doubt that each and every one of these charges is true, as well as the special allegations and circumstances that have been alleged. Now, back to this being a parent's nightmare. On April 23rd, 2025, as been alleged by the complaint, Celeste a 14-year-old at that time, went to Mr. Burke's house in the Hollywood Hills. She was never heard from again. On September 8th, 2025, as alleged in the complaint, Mr. Burke
cause of her death. In downtown Los Angeles, I'm Rachel Aragon.
No, district attorney, though, did say that the coroner here in LA does have the cause of death, and they believe that report should become public relatively soon. Reporters also asked the DA today, in fact, if they're pursuing any other suspects in his case, and as of now, he declined to comment. But as you heard just now, the attorneys for David, of course, vehemently denying these charges and any connection to that teen's death. Reporting live tonight, I'm Rachel Aragon. I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you so much. Obviously, tragic circumstances, gruesome circumstances following the discovery of her body. I do have one question, though. Have we heard from the Hernandez family? We potentially thought they might speak out. Have they said anything?
We did thought we were going to hear them today. We did see them actually walk into court with their attorneys. They were there for the arraignment. We were ready to hear from them, but they did not speak publicly yet. So we are still waiting to hear, of course, from their accounts as well.
All right, this is just getting going. Rachel, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. You're reporting. You're on live now. All right, thank you so much
know
for that
what?
report there.
I just really feel like this case is really just disturbing because, first of all, the parents, I'm really side-eyeing them because how is it that you let your minor child go off alone with a damn adult? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
In Southern California, we continue to dive into this case as now being charged with first-degree murder as well as other cases as prosecutors finally bringing forth some of these charges. TMZ also reporting exactly what's in this case as Celeste Rivas' cause of death just been revealed, and prosecutors in LA say David killed her with a, quote, sharp instrument. And obviously some major developments on this here about what was revealed. No real announcement from the coroner as of yet about this cause of death. But you can imagine, you heard there from the police chief, Jim McDonald, talking about the state in which they discovered the body dismembered. They were going through and having to uncover all of that evidence. Let's take us out right now as we heard inside the courtroom some of these proceedings. David, the singer, pleading not guilty to these charges. Let's listen into these proceedings here from earlier.
People versus David Anthony Burke. That's case number 26 CJC F02399.
Good morning or good afternoon, Your Honor. Claire Burke, Marilyn Bednarski, and Regina Peter on behalf of our client, David Burke, who's in custody.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Burke.
Deputy District Attorney Beth Sullivan to the people, Your Honor.
Thank you. And counsel, on behalf of your client, do you waive formal reading of the complaint, advisement of rights, including armed forces and veterans' rights, enter a plea of not guilty, denying any and all special allegations, enhancements, and priors?
Yes, Your Honor.
And requesting a preliminary hearing within the period?
Yes, Your Honor. From the media reports, apparently there have been 4 months of secret grand jury proceedings. We believe that Mr. Burke is entitled at the earliest opportunity to an open preliminary hearing and the proceedings not be done in secret. So we are asking for a preliminary hearing to be set at the earliest possible date on the 10th day. Your Honor, we believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, nor was he the cause of her death. And we would like to be able to have the evidence come into the light of day at the earliest opportunity in order to establish that. We're asking for April 23rd as a 3 of 10, Your Honor.
Anything from the people?
We'll be very happy to put on the evidence that we've collected in this case in the last several months.
Thank you. So the matter will be set, plea of not guilty has been entered on behalf of Mr. Burke. The matter will be set in Department 105. The matter is ordered assigned to Judge Charlene Almeida in Department 105 for all purposes by the judge of the supervising judge of criminal.
Yes, Your Honor. If I may just put on the record, we have, as soon as the people arrive, delivered a informal discovery request consistent with Penal Code Section 1054. We have been given almost no discovery thus far. We've received a 3-page follow-up report, no autopsy report, and a copy of the complaint. And we would ask the people respectfully to produce discovery at the earliest opportunity.
Your Honor, as I indicated to counsel, there's approximately 40 terabytes of discovery in this case. Moreover, in order to obtain the transcripts from a grand jury investigation, counsel must file a motion. She knows the way the system works.
Oh, wow. Child, they are really digging into the case. They said that we have X amount of files up in here, and girl, listen, when you think about this was a young woman that actually lost her life, and that was in a damn trunk.
To gather those, they have to be provided after the court orders them released because it was an investigation. Second of all, if counsel plans on going to a preliminary hearing within the 10 days, it is unlikely that there will be very much discovery provided within that period, given the voluminous nature and how long it's going to take to copy onto drives. In addition to that,
But see, they have evidence. I don't know if you all remember, but David had like this cremation equipment. It was like, and now it all makes sense, because were they gonna like get her body to that cremation center and do a cremation? Because if they had did their own cremation, it'll only be like ashes. But this man bought like a cremation center, the equipment and everything, and he went out to like this land or whatever. This is creepy. But if you listen, I have not listened to his music, and the reason why I have not listened to his music was like, first of all, this man is making music for romantic homicides.
coroner's report was sealed in this case in order to prevent it from hampering truthful testimony from witnesses that testified at the grand jury. So an order will also have to be obtained in order to get the coroner's department, which is now the medical examiner's department, to release those materials.
Your Honor, it's surprising news given the district attorney's office held a press conference this morning where they discussed the cause of death, apparently under seal and not released by the coroner's office.
Right. Let's get into that. Let's get into that. And you know what? He's just sitting right there with a nonchalant, not his emotions, like just looking at it is, I don't give a F. He's just sitting right there. This young woman has lost her life. She's no longer here. No remorse. If this was somebody that you cared about, your friend, you would be in tears if you had nothing to do with it.
Did the robbery homicide unit to the press. So we would again reiterate, we believe that Mr. Burke is entitled to discovery. We have served the people with notice. They have 15 days to produce discovery in this case. We would ask that they do that in conscientious earnestness and as quickly as possible.
So what she's saying is, girl, we ain't got time for all that. Y'all knew that he was going to be facing some charges. Y'all knew it was coming up. Why weren't y'all prepared? Why weren't y'all prepared? Don't act like you don't know how the court works. You've been working with the courts for X amount of years, X amount of time. We need you to get with the program. Let's go.
Court to make an order today. We'll take a copy of the minute order ordering the Department of Medical Examiner to release their coroner's report in this case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The court will order that the medical examiner release the report in this case forthwith.
Thank you.
The matter set in Department 105, as the court indicated, April 23rd, 2026, as a 3:10 p.m. Anything further?
No, not this time.
Bail to stand at no bail. Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
we're just listening into some of those proceedings inside
Honey,
the
they
courtroom
said they're
there.
not giving him no bail. But should they give him a bail? Should they? I mean, at the end of the day, this man, this woman, she was you can't even call her a woman. This was a little girl. This is a little girl. Let's get into it.
In Los Angeles, as they're seeking an open preliminary hearing, as the singer David has
Also, it was an open preliminary hearing. Okay, that's what that was. Okay.
pleaded not guilty to these charges revolving around murder of the 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. As prosecutors allege, Rivas Hernandez went to David's Hollywood Hills home on April 23rd of 2025 and was never seen again. This is a post from TMZ talking about pleading not guilty, demanding that open hearing. They further claim in this alleged complaint, they claim he was threatened to expose their relationship and that Burke acted to...
What? Okay, so breaking David pleads not guilty and demands an immediate preliminary hearing. David, at the end of the day, it was your vehicle. It was her body in it. They seen her come to that house. The house was not in your name. It was a lot of shady business going on. Let's get into it.
Protect his career. Let's be joined right now here on Live Now from Fox, former federal prosecutor, friend of the
and
program.
let's not forget that David was still going to be on tour. The only reason why David stopped his tour is because of the backlash, but his management and everybody, they were all cool with it. And that only leads me to believe, did they know about it, and how cool were they with his actions with Celeste?
Nima Rahmani. Nima, thank you so much for joining us. And obviously, it took some time for prosecutors to put together their case. What do prosecutors have now that finally forced them to move forward with these charges?
Andy, certainly better late than never. And I'm sitting here in downtown Los Angeles, about a mile away from the courthouse. And this case was really a dark cloud hanging over the city of LA. And obviously, as a former federal prosecutor who represents...
Absolutely. Of course it would be. They then found this young woman's body decomposed in a trunk of a Tesla, parked in a towing yard.
Victims, the most important thing is for police officers and prosecutors to get it right. But we all know that Celeste Rivas Hernandez's body, her decomposed, decapitated body, was found in 2 bags in the front.
There you go. There go the car right there, y'all. This is the car right here. This is the Tesla right here. I mean, just parked. And guess what? People started, it was a foul smell. It was a foul smell going on. So you got to think about the blood. You got to think about the whatever toxins, if they used any, if they poured any on her for faster decomposing to help speed it up. You don't know what they did. Go ahead.
Trunk of David's Tesla back in September. This was a young girl who was missing for quite some time. The question we all have been asking is, why is it taking so long to make an arrest? Obviously, many folks who are watching speculated that it was singer David who was responsible for her death. Now we know today, at least according to the prosecution's theory, that it was. And I think today really was a
Listen, that is very sinister. How do you sit up here and have the time to unalive somebody, and then you make it to where you're chopping their body up, then you're moving it, then you're storing it? That's a lot.
bombshell day because we got those murder charges, which was first-degree murder. That means it was premeditated under California law with 3 different special circumstances that we talked about: lying in wait, financial gain to protect his music career, and killing a witness, that witness being Celeste herself, who was the victim of sexual abuse. Speaking of which, it was really, I think, that sexual abuse charge that a lot of people have been talking about that was the motivation for this murder. You have someone who's allegedly having sex as a 21-year-old with a girl as young as 14 years old. And then there's obviously the possibility theoretically that this is a death penalty case. Of course, there's a moratorium on the death penalty here in California. We haven't had an execution in approximately 20 years, but this is an election year, and if there's a Republican governor in Sacramento, potentially that moratorium could be lifted. And if you believe in the death penalty, this is certainly a death penalty case. So a lot happened today in that courtroom, Andy.
You mentioned the charges, but I wanted to get into those special circumstances, the lying in wait, the committing.
Now listen here. They're saying that they have the charges. He did this. He unalived, he cut her up. He had her in his vehicle. It was his vehicle.
A crime for financial gain and also murdering a witness to an investigation. Does this adding these special circumstances signal to you that they feel they have a strong case?
I think they do. And some of this is part of the strategy of litigation and maybe a little bit of gamesmanship. Obviously, the district attorney knows that if there's the possibility of
They have evidence. They are in cahoots. They were talking. The mother had already said, gave a confession that she didn't mind for her daughter going out on the road with him, hanging out with him.
the death penalty, well, that's certainly one way that you can leverage a plea agreement. We saw that with Brian Koberger, for instance. And Nathan Hochman, the district attorney here in Los Angeles County, said the same thing about the Nick Reiner case, obviously another very high-profile case. But if you're the defense and Blair Burke, who is defending this case, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, there's no real chance of the death penalty again, unless something completely changes politically. So a first-degree murder special circumstances case is a mandatory life case. So from the defense's perspective, well, if they plead guilty, they're going to get life. If they push this case to trial and they lose, they're also going to get life. And if you're the DA and Beth Silverman, who's handling this case, the deputy DA, you're not going to give any type of discount. This is a young girl who was sexually abused and her life taken away from her. I mean, it's a horrific tragedy. So
exactly. Didn't even have a whole life. I mean, just didn't even get to explore her whole life. It got snatched away. It got snatched away. Crazy.
To insist on life. So this is very much the type of case that is very likely to go all the way to trial, because there's really no middle ground here in any type of plea deal that I can see happening, Andy.
Yeah, you mentioned the special circumstances, but these are gruesome.
So they don't even want to give him a plea deal. They want to go through the case from start to finish. They want to know what happened. Hey, Tennessee Whiskey, she was a sacrifice. Well, yeah, like I was saying, she David purchased this cremation. Don't you know how your loved ones, they get cremated? He purchased equipment for cremation. There was some type of strategy to get her, to where her body would be ashes. I think that they were, slow in timing. I guess maybe the reason why they had her stored away in that car is to, until they got the cremation center together, until they could go over there and throw on there and burn her up. Allegedly, let's go.
Some circumstances in which they found this body, and you noted the first-degree murder, the lewd and lascivious acts, but also the fact that they're charging him with mutilating a corpse. What evidence might they be allowed with this first-degree murder case that they wouldn't previously, based on this last charge of that mutilation?
So the last charge, as well as the sex abuse, sometimes people will ask me, well, why are they filing this if it's a mandatory life case? But it's not necessarily to increase the potential sentence. And certainly if you're the prosecution, you don't want a compromise verdict. You don't want to not guilty or hung on murder and then end up with just the sex crimes or the dismembering the body, the mutilating a corpse. But it does allow a lot of other evidence to come into the case, right? If you don't charge the sex crimes, you can't necessarily get into all the sex acts, although, of course, the prosecution will argue that it's relevant, it's evidence of motive, and the dismembering the body. It's not easy to cut through bone and to cut up a young girl like Celeste Rivas. So you want all that damaging evidence to come in to tell the full picture. And by charging it, you guarantee.
Wow, this is very interesting, y'all. It's interesting. That's a lot.
That it does so if you're the prosecution in the district attorney's office.
And obviously, it's very difficult to kind of go through some of those cases. The dismemberment is very hard to hear. In terms of what we might see from expert witnesses,
I mean, she was dismembered. And when you think about that, it took time, effort. I mean, you were going through it. And that's why they're saying it's premeditated, because you planned on doing this.
Because we heard from the Los Angeles police chief, Jim McDonnell, saying some of the evidence potentially has disappeared. How crucial might that be? Because the defense is going to try to poke holes into whether David was responsible for this or aware of this. How might the defense attack this prosecution's case?
Well, I think you're going to see really two arguments from the defense. One is obviously attacking the investigation itself. It was certainly a very slow burn. And I think one of the reasons folks were concerned with it is, one, if really there is a killer out there who has sexually abused a young girl and he hasn't been brought to justice, well, that presents a danger to other people and other young girls in the community. And not only that.
There you go. But at least they got that monster about the streets. Listen, we will be back here. We got another show scheduled for 4:30. You guys come on back. Our next show will be Don't Get Me to Line, but as soon as this one ends, it'll take you to the next one. Just wait for us. We'll be there in about 20 minutes. See you.